Oh, okay. Let's try. Let's try. It cannot flip.
Yes. Yes, that's correct. It's flipped.
Yes, but it flipped on a different page. But never mind lah, never mind lah. We all make do lah, huh? It's just like that. Okay. Today is a long class. It is like 40 plus slides. So let's just do it, okay? To recap from last week, this slide essentially was what we covered. It's a summary of what we covered last week. If you recall, we were saying that the regular, untrained, untamed, uninstructed mind cannot help but to identify with the aggregates. And for each of the aggregate, from body, feeling, perception, volitional thought formation, consciousness, as long as its attention is placed on one of these aggregates, it will regard each aggregate as mine. I am that is myself. That is habit, those are instincts. Those are our instincts, okay? And last week we covered specifically Vedana. So from henceoff, we're going to use the word Vedana. Vedana, unfortunately, is very gripping when there is a sense of Vedana. The powerful ones, the memorable ones, the impressionable ones, pleasure, pain, these are the ones we remember, we will hold on to. Neutral ones, you can also remember, maybe not as powerful, but these are the imprints in our mind. We need to change narrative as part of the practice. The Buddhist guidance, you need to change narratives. So when we say Dhamma practice, the Dhamma practice has to do with practicing, creating a new habit to change our instincts and habits. It's not an easy process. It will take time. And if you keep reverting, so you go 2 steps forward, you revert one, you go back 1 step, then you will keep doing it. You're having to do it. Okay. So what are we supposed to do? We're supposed to look at narrative. Sorry, we're supposed to look at Vedana as impermanent. The pleasurable, the powerful ones, we change the narrative to say it's painful. Painful one, we say it is a dud. The neutral one, we say as impermanent. This is one type of narrative. So there were many more that was introduced last week. We see that as bubbles. We see Vedana as bubbles. We learn to focus differently. Instead of focusing on gratification, meaning we build pleasure, we must make sure that in our recalling of a pleasure, we take it to danger and even better to escape. Okay. Avoiding giving details. This is emotions. When you have emotions, don't use too many words to describe emotions. Don't tell a story about that emotion. Just say it as painful, pleasant, neutral. When the less words you use, the more the less attachment there will be. You use a lot of words, there will be a lot of attachment. Okay. Today, we are going to learn to identify and to explain the aggregate of perception. Henceforth, we're going to use the word sanya. I repeat, today we are learning to recognize very clearly what is sanya, perception. Okay? Then we want to apply the understanding of sanya, the properties of sanya, the characteristics of sanya. We want to recognize that. We now want to apply that understanding to try and reduce dukkha and stresses in daily life. Okay? You will be shown. This is the reason why I have to take control today. Next week, Ikun can take back control. Okay? I'm going to show you 12 pictures. I will count to 3 for each picture. Your job is to write down as quickly as you can, scribble as quickly as you can Whatever you see, you write as quickly as you can. If you miss, you just keep going. Okay? Understand, everyone? Can the one in the hall just kind of wave at me so I know that you will? Okay. The one on site, you're okay? Let's begin, huh? Count to 3, okay? Got it? Did you all get it?
Yes.
I just want the one in the on-site. Did you get it? The one online, did you all catch it? Hey, answer something lah. How many did you all catch? How many? Let's just go. Eileen, help me count. On-site, there are not a lot of you.
All right.
Who got all 12?
All 12. 2 persons, 3 persons.
11?
11. 1, 2, 3. 3 persons also.
Can I say, I asked all of you on-site, online. Actually, your mind caught it. Your hand couldn't write fast enough. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you experience that? Your mind could recognize, but your hand couldn't write fast enough. That at some point you just gave up. Some of you would just give up. Agree? Now I'm going to go back. I'm going to reverse. And I want to, it would help if you all can give me some answers. Okay? You all caught this, right? You all caught that? And
Beach and waves.
you say beach and whatever, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, this is the one I want. What did you all see?
Flowers.
Any of you wrote anything else?
Field of red flowers.
Ah, you see? Correct. Those of you who recognize poppies might have taken this class before, or you are familiar with World War One. Because poppies have a very because if you are a European, you will see this picture and there will be sadness. But because you're Singaporean, you have nothing. You only have like flowers, buds, don't know what red thing, whatever. And poppies has a history. World War One is associated with poppies because the blood, it's red, right? It's the blood, the feel of blood. So they use it, they talk about poppies and they will remember as World War One where millions died, hundreds and thousands and millions died. Okay. But you have no recollection, no meaning. There's no meaning there for you. This one, probably many one. What about this? This one.
Dying leaves. Dying body leaves.
Whatever. Absolutely. And finally, this one. If I were to introduce this in a different setting, they may not know what it means. But here, everybody will say, Sangkabo. You know that, okay? So, now, what did you notice your mind doing? That part of you, that part of the mind that says, this, what is this? This is a bowl, this is a beach, this is a tree, these are leaves, la 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 la. That part of the mind that is doing that, that is sanya. Okay? That part of the mind that is recognizing, identify. Did you all recognize that? Did you all see that? That part of the mind that was busy catching whatever is seen and then labeling it, recognizing it, perceiving it, that's perception. That's sanya. You, no matter how I explain, I can throw in all these words, but nothing beats experiencing it for yourself. So the purpose of that very quick exercise was for you to have 12 shots at seeing for yourself sanya. Okay? Vedana, you all recognize. Rupa is obvious. But sanya and shankara, they can be very close, and sometimes people get confused. So the intent of the earlier 12 picture exercise was so that you could experience for yourself with clarity what is sanya. If you know it, understand it, sure about it, can you all just, for the ones on site, you raise your hand, Eileen, take a look. For the ones online, you just answer at the bottom, yes, 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 that's good enough. So that I know people understand and saw it for themselves. Then we can move on. On site, please. All got it? Any confusion? I cannot move until I'm sure everyone is okay.
Anyone confused? Raise up your hand. No, they all can recognize.
Excellent. Now, when your sense organ, any of the sense organs, this is not just sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, mind object, any of the sights, recognize when recognition arises, when there is contact between a sense organ and an object, and there is, I know what this is. Even if I don't know what it is, even if you don't know what it is still sanya because you know you don't know. There is a part of you that say, I know, I don't know. If you know, you will have an answer. If you don't know, you say, what is it? What is it? The part that recognizes yourself puzzling. It recognizes puzzling. It recognizes doubt, uncertainty. That recognition is sanya. Okay? You wait, I must drink water. So you see what the Buddha said. And what bhikkhu is sanya. There are these 6 classes of sanya. Sanya of form, of sound. You see, he used the word form. He didn't use the word eye consciousness. He used the word form, sound, orders, taste, tactile objects, mental phenomenal. He is using a recognition word. You know it's a form, you know it's a sound. The contact has happened. There is a recognition. Okay, so please note exactly how he calls it. Sanya of form, sound, smell, taste, touch, mental phenomenal. With the arising of a contact, there is a arising of a sanya. Last week, we used another stanza and it says, when there is the arising of a contact, there is the arising of vedana. Then you say, contact, sanya, contact, vedana. Why? Because these two, sanya and vedana, are conjoined twins. They literally come together. They are so fast. They are so fast. Together, they come together. It's not sequential. Please remember this. That's the reason why Patija Samupada, dependent origination, is not sequential. It's together. Okay? And you have to understandings where then you may say, sequential, then which comes first? They come together. But You, in your attention, you only pay attention to one at a time. So sometimes, because of powerful Vedana, you recognize Vedana first. Sometimes Vedana is neutral, so your attention then focuses more on the naming. You understand, huh? It depends on what catches your attention. So the next time you go on a retreat or after this class, you start paying attention to have that mindfulness and just know for yourself, is there such a thing as which comes first? They are actually there together. But whatever catches your attention, you will think that comes first. But no, it's not. It's together. Okay? Now, how are you able to recognize them? 5 minutes group activity means I give you a short 5 minutes break. Eileen, please count. Everybody go and discuss on site. You can discuss. You go discuss. How are you able to have sanya? How are you able? How does sanya come about? Okay, go and think about this. 5 minutes. Eileen, you can also create breakout rooms online. Oh, you forgot to record. Now I got to repeat again. Okay. So the point I was making is whatever that you have gone through, because you go through so many things in a day, let alone what more in a lifetime, you go through so many things. So there is some way in which your mind will sieve, and it will sieve according to what leaves the deepest imprint with Vedana and what is constantly repeated. So the more it repeats, the more more space it will take. The more you think about something, the more space it will take, more bandwidth it will take, more geek space it will take. Okay, later on you will see. And when I say learned, accepted, and stored, right? Actually, it means is something that you have encountered. There are some things you want to, that you find yourself, you can't help it, but you will learn and think about it and so on and so forth. And then you'll have your takeaways. And what are you storing? You are storing whatever you can take away. You're storing whatever agrees with you, or if it disagrees with you, it has a powerful imprint for whatever reason. Kusala, akusala, all got a powerful imprint. Unfortunately, akusala is more powerful. Unfortunately, for most people, the akusala ones, unfortunately, is more powerful. And because of that, it sits deeper and it sits longer. You don't believe me? All of you, reflect on your own life. I want you to quickly remember 3 things. Just recall 3 things. Quickly. Just don't think so hard. Recall 3 things. Okay? You know for yourself, I don't need you to tell me, but I want you to ask yourself the things that spring up in your mind fastest. Are they painful or pleasurable? Are they kusala or akusala? Or are they neutral, which is unlikely? Then you will know for yourself the leaning of your mind. If your mind leans towards recalling, and what does it recall? If it's akusala, if it is akusala, your recollection, is it a lesson learned? And then you say, I will do better. Or is it a resentment, an anger, unforgotten? You know for yourself, you have your own answers. If you say you're a Dhamma practitioner, if you say you're a Dhamma practitioner, then your lesson learned should be wholesome, even if the episode was unwholesome. And at that time, you were driven by akusala. But your takeaway should be a wise one. If you are a Dhamma practitioner. But if your memory remains unforgiving, still as angry, akusala still as strong, you learn nothing. It means you haven't changed. It means you have not grown in the process. But there is a middle, there is between the two extremes, there's something in the middle, which is you find yourself struggling to steer it in the correct direction of the Dhamma. So that can also happen. And that also tells you you are learning, you're on the path, you're changing. So you recall an example. You recall something, someone did something, and you are sad, and you are angry, perhaps, and then you find yourself saying, stop, don't do that, don't do that. We must learn chaga, we must learn to forgive. You find yourself doing that. Very good. This is actually very good. Okay? And all these episodes, they all get stored. And then they form your sanya. Okay? Yeah? Jialat. Now I cannot even move. Can I? Can I? Okay. Answer is obvious, right? It's purely dynamic. Okay? This is from a very important sutta. And for those of you who are very keen to understand the mind, please check out this sutta. Madhupindika, honey ball. MN18 is called honey ball because Ananda say, I think of honey ball. So Buddha said, let's call it honey ball. I consciousness arises, pay attention. I consciousness arises dependent on eye and sight. So when there is a working organ, there is a form out there, the mind, the consciousness land on these two. This is eye consciousness. The meeting of the three is contact. Contact is a condition for Vedana. What you feel, you perceive. It's whatever there's a sensation, there's a perception. Okay. Don't see this as sequential. Just know that these two comes together. What you perceive, you think about. Vitaka, thinking. Vitaketi. What you think about, you proliferate. Papancheti. Okay? What you proliferate is the source from which a person is beset by the concept of identity that emerge from the proliferation of perception. So what you store, ting, stirring in your rojak pot, that pot is the source by which you are beset. You have the notion of identity. It's a constant arising of identity. Concept of identity. You think they're all thought created. This occurs with respect to sight, known by the eye in the past, future, and present. Okay. Did you notice something rather odd about this sentence construction? Sentence construction, until Vedana, it was mechanical. Eye consciousness arises dependent on eye and sight. The meeting of the three is contact. Contact is a condition for Vedana. Then the you start. Can you see that? What you feel, you perceive. What you perceive, you think about. So there is a mechanical process that the moment Vedana arises, the I appears. The ownership appears. The owning, the identifying starts. This is not wise, me asking any question, because I assume I was on site. The main thing is actually, I want everyone to take a moment to read this text. It's just a moment. Okay, there's no stopping for break here. Take a moment to look at the words again. If you have a question, please keep it to the end of this session, and then you pose your question. I want to draw your attention to Vedana and perception, which is actually at the very baseline. If you do not start thinking, if you recognize, Sanya is recognition, right? If you recognize, but you do not allow your thought to start running, you won't proliferate. You don't start thinking about it, you won't start reminiscing, ruminating, you won't go round and round the thing. So I repeat, contact is inevitable. Okay? Vedana arising is also inevitable because the moment there is a contact, there will be a Vedana. But your Vedana and your perception, because it's automatic. You open your eyes, you have a recognition. You just open your eyes and look in front of you, there's a recognition. Contact and there's a recognition. That up until that point, you cannot avoid. There is no way you can stop contact. So therefore, there is no way, there is no Vedana, there is no way, there is no Sanya. That's nature. There you will have it. But if you don't ruminate, ruminating means going round and round and round. If you stop at Sanya, I recognize, then I stop and I watch breathing. If you stop there, no more trouble. So you see, you look at this, the identity arises for the regular mind. The identity arises. Actually, for the regular mind, your identity will start earlier because the moment there is Vedana, you own. Agree? The regular person, the moment there's Vedana, the moment there's Sanya, you will own. But these are practitioners. Because they are practitioners, they don't own it yet. Even though the you is there, they can stem it there and stop. They even know that the mind continues to think. So that's why they can break it down to so many steps. The rest of us with no training cannot see it so clearly. But once you have your mindfulness and your meditation is decent enough, first state, just good enough, quiet enough, you can see the flow. It doesn't have to be like that. But if your mind, if your meditation, your samadhi is strong enough, you can see the flow. Okay? And what I would like to draw to I like to draw your attention to this. For anyone, perception is inevitable, but you can stop there. At the perception part, you perceive, right? At that point, you can stop. You can watch your breathing. You can recall the Dhamma. You can say, not mine, not I, not myself. You can do that there. But if you didn't, and instead you think about it, thinking is one step away from proliferating, from papancha, papancheti. Okay, Vitaketi, by the way, is more objective. It's more, it's thinking, reasoning. Okay, papancheti is pia liao, pia chui liao, vle, vle, vle. It will roll. This is real the rojak already. You call yourself a practitioner, you must learn to recognize sanya, thinking start proliferating. Okay? And if you are able to discern the parts and you are able to stop at just recognition, go back to breathing, recognition, okay, not mine, not I, not self. You can do that. Your mind learns eventually to stop running. That's how you do it. Okay? Okay, moving on. Oh, the copy moment. We take, how long you want, Eileen? Take 5? Take 5 minutes. Long class today, okay?
5 minutes. Or you have to go to the
Wait. Okay, Sanya. Now that you guys are expert on Sanya, we're going to the practice. Spiritual practice, cultivation, the whole entire path starts with samadhi. We all know that, okay? And samadhi, perfect. Usually you say right, good, beneficial, but it also means perfect. The right view, DT, so these are the translation, the view, the understanding, but the words are a little bit different, right? View and understanding and perspective, outlook, attitude, they're all a little bit this in English, they're a bit different. So now I'm going to try and explain the word DT properly. And I hope you will not have just a cognitive understanding, you have an experiential understanding of the word DT. That is important. DT essentially is the lens through which you understand the world around you. That's why it is a view, a perspective. And if your view and perspective, if you but make it a little bit more, a bit more substance, it becomes an understanding. Okay. Essentially, it's the lens through which you see the world. I prefer to use the word a lens through which you see the world, through which you understand things. And it can range from something as simple as I recognize something to something as complex as a culture, a lifestyle, and so on. But it can go very baseline. Whatever that you do about the world, you form an opinion, right? You have an opinion. That opinion sits on DT law. So whatever you see around you, it starts off with you saying, I know what this is. I have a name for it. I call it by a certain term. All those are DT. So in ancient India, the DT, it also means philosophy. It also means dogma. So it can be as elaborate as that, or it can be as simple as my view, my impression, my perspective. Can you see that? It's actually the whole thing, you know? Okay. Whatever that you do in life, it starts off with your assumptions you make, right? Even assumption works, it weaves its way into DT. Assumptions that you have, that you make, will weave its way into DT. That is how powerful DT is. If your assumption is the world cannot just exist, there has to be a creator somewhere. There has to be a start point. If that is your assumption, that forms your DT. That forms your worldview. Can you see that? If you say everything is because of something, it has to be. Or there is no meaning. Everything is accidental. I can't see how they are connected. Therefore, I assume everything happens accidentally. That is your worldview. That is your assumption. That is your DT. So, for us to be able to walk this path and be prepared to do everything that Buddha had advised. You have to see the world through the lens of Dhamma. You have to start with a correct set of assumption, a correct perspective, which is tied to the lowest minimal, a perspective. I have to start with a gut sense, in other words. And my gut sense that I reason happily. Makes sense, makes sense. That's DT. It can be as low level as that. Okay? But if you don't have that as a start point, then what are you doing? If you don't even have the Dhamma, the Four Noble Truths, so for the practice, for the Buddhists, the start point has to be Four Noble Truths. And this is not just dogma. This is not just a doctrine. This is the assumptions you will have as you keep reflecting on it. It forms the baseline to how you see the world. It's your instinct. It's your assumption. It has to get to that level. And then you can call it samadhi. If it hasn't gone into the level that you look at the world around you, the moment you hear the word dukkha, your instinct says there's a craving somewhere. You don't get to that point, you don't have samadhi. Okay? So some of the things that you want, I said that the Buddha taught nature of reality. Right at lesson 1, I said, the Buddha taught nature of reality. So this is your first one. Seeing the world through the lens of reality as it is. And that means dukkha as opposed to sukha. Let me explain this. I cannot remember whether I did this experiment with this class because I've taught quite a few classes. Did we do this did we have this conversation about sukha? Have you had that, Eileen? 没有啊? Okay, so it's not this class. Can I ask you guys, and I want you all just walk with me, bear with me on this. Can I ask you guys this? If you hear that someone or yourself feeling a little bit down, don't feel too good, instinctively, would you say, I don't feel right. I don't feel good. Did you say that? I repeat, if let's say you sit there quietly and then you don't feel good. I use simple words. You don't feel good. You feel a bit down. You feel a bit off. Would you automatically then say this not good, this off? Would you automatically say, something is off, something is wrong? And I don't know what, but I think I have to go and fix it. Would you talk like that? The moment you don't feel too good and you feel a little bit off, you will say, something a bit off. I should go and do something. Would you say that? If your child, your loved one, your sibling, a friend comes up to you and say, I'm down. I'm down. Your assumption, would you say, that's normal? Or would you say, oh, something is off. We should figure out what's wrong. Would you say that? Yes or no?
Yes. On site here, say yes.
No, this is important. I need you to understand it for yourself. If you say, 对呀, when I don't feel good and someone come up to me and say they feel down, the instinct in you, what is the instinct in you? The instinct is in you will say, that's not normal. Something is off. We should go do something about this. Do you feel like this all the time? Or is once in a while? Then you say, once in a while. Then you will say, oh, it's okay then. It's okay, it will be over that. Would you say that? Come on, be honest.
Yeah.
If you say yes to my question, after reflection or not, because under duress, it's just reflecting and reflecting, say, yeah, it's true. Then what it means is your basic assumption your basic assumption is life should not be dukkha. Okay? Your assumption, your baseline. If someone is down, if someone is off, it is a bit wrong. We go and do something about it. Go and fix it. You may do it on your own. You may go read a book, go out play a game, go jogging, go eat, go chat with friends. Can you see how your mind works? We will fix this moment of down with activities. Talk about it. If this moment of down is extended, you will seek medical treatment. Who fixes the mind for sukha? Like, oh, I'm feeling so good. Let's go see doctor because I'm feeling so good. You don't do that. But extended period of down, you will say, I must go see doctor, something is off. So therefore, actually, the world's assumption, the world's baseline is sukha is normal, dukkha is off. Do you see that? It is not, the Buddha is not saying that we should all be experiencing dukkha. No, he is saying that actually dukkha is a natural baseline. And dukkha is a natural baseline because of the things that you go through. Your 生老病死, to be born, to grow old, to fall sick, to die. That in itself, if your mind constantly reflect, if your mind constantly pay attention to the biological milestones of life, you automatically will say life is not meaningful because death is certain. Going old, becoming frail, falling sick, it's not just the lot of my life, it's the lot of everyone I love. It's the lot of everyone I care about. I don't really care about that happening to my enemy, but then there's so many more people I care about, that I love. And that is the lot. The moment you take birth, that's going to happen. So if you are truly eyes open, looking at reality, you know that's coming your way. How not to be dukkha? But we don't feel the dukkha, right? We get mesmerized by the beautiful, the shining, the attractive things. Those little trinkets. So we are all like babies. All of us like babies in the cot, being drawn by all those hanging trinkets. Ding, 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 dong, dong, the neck noise. And they mesmerize us. They swing around, they swirl around. As adult, we look at it and say, wow, this baby damn sad, oh. You're just mesmerized by these beautiful little things that go round and round. As adults, we have many more things hanging up there. So many more to mesmerize and attract us, so we don't see the dukkha that is lurking in every corner. He said, why you say lurking every corner? You every moment also want something, ma? You every moment also cannot get what you want, ma? Sometimes they are very small, very little, but most times, not most times, most times it's actually little bits, so you don't feel the impact of it. But when you have something that is big and you want, like recognition from your bosses or acknowledgement from your family, or just a simple thank you from the people you care about, people to love you, you have all those things, right? You have unrequited love, right? Or you have unwanted attention. You have all these things in your life. And because of all these arisings, and the more you're not in the Dhamma, the more arisings you will have. So there are two big arisings that will cause you problem. One is many small ones. The second one is one ginormous big one that you want and can't get. So the intensity or the range, the many possibilities. You put the two together, you have dukkha. That's just life. That's just the way it is. But we don't see it. Okay? So nature of reality, the first nature of reality is dukkha is a given. This is just the nature of life. It is biological, it is emotional, and it is normal. But because our mind is built in such a way that it is partial towards sukha, it's blind to the dukkha. Okay? So your first reality is already salah liao. First reality, dukkha is a given. Now, second reality, craving is the cause of dukkha, and the stronger your craving, the more intense your dukkha. That's the second reality. It's a reality as it is. But are we aware of that? If you are so aware of that, why are you still chasing the money, the house, the material things, the emotional things, the psychological things, the health bits? There's still all this chasing and wanting. Because it's natural to chase. It's natural to want. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying what is natural. What is habit? What are instincts? So the second nature of reality is because we are careful about protecting this entity, we are careful protecting this. So we want to make our environment sui. We want to control what is out there. We want to control what's out there, control people's behavior, control people, what they say to you, control the conditions outside, so that you make life as palatable, as peaceful, as joyous as you can for yourself. Everybody is doing that. And that's why we langgar into each other's wanting. Constantly, there's the langgar in each other's wanting. And the third one, this is powerful. Then some of you will say, hey, but this is the Four Noble Truth. I'm telling you, the Four Noble Truth is life. Why do you have to keep telling you the Four Noble Truth is reality? The third one says, when craving ceases, dukkha tapers off. When you are feeling down, feeling sad, feeling lost, what do you try to fix? You try to fix the object. Agree? I repeat, when let's say someone says something you don't like and you feel sad, what do you try to fix? You tell me. Your automatic instinct, your reply should be, I go fix him. I go to tell him, you shouldn't say that to me. You apologize. Agree? That's what you will do, right? You're fixing him or her. But what is the cause of your dukkha? Him, lor, he say those words, lor. No. The cause of your dukkha is you want to hear good things. You need self-affirmation. You need that self-affirmation. That's why you need him to say nice things. If you have no need for self-affirmation, he can call you donkey and monkey, you don't care. Words can't kill, you will say, I don't care. So the problem is within. There is a wanting. I want, I prefer, I choose. And therefore, to fix dukkha is not to fix him, but to fix you. To learn the moderation, to learn the acceptance, to see the non-self, and then you have no dukkha anymore. Okay? If you understand the Four Noble Truths well, understand it well, so well that it is now part of your sanya. So deep it has gone into you that it is now your sanya, your baseline, the assumptions you have about the world, your instincts. If that happens, right thought will happen. If right understanding didn't go deep enough, it didn't change your sanya, all you have is come back for DFC again and again. DFC doesn't serve your purpose, you will go find another teacher who now explain to you the magic of the Dhamma. Okay? But if it starts to make sense, it starts to get in, you start to recognize, your mind starts to shift, the way you see the world starts to say, how do you know? You will know. Because every time there is a dukkha arising, a sensation, vedana, unpleasant. When vedana is unpleasant, dukkha is there, therefore, craving must be there. Your assumption will be like that. That becomes your assumption. I repeat, every time vedana is unpleasant, your mind will say, oh, wait, unpleasant vedana, there is a one thing. Because I feel dukkha, there has to be a craving somewhere. What am I craving for? What am I seeking? What am I wanting? You will talk like that. Then you'll figure out, oh, the one thing is loneliness. I want to chase away loneliness. Or the one thing is for somebody to connect with me. Whatever it is, whatever your one thing is, okay? You will recognize that. And then you will, this word says, right thought. It means this will happen. This is the first of the habit you are creating, you are working, you are cultivating. The Pali word, which I will happily use, but you don't have to memorize, the word is nekkhamma. In English, it has been translated as renunciation. This is such a big word. I will explain it in a simpler word that it's easier for us to get it. You recall that your craving, your wanting leads to a dukkha, then the normal thing, the correct thing, right? I mean, automatically your instinct must be, what is it I'm holding on to? What is it I'm craving? What is it I'm wanting? Then that one thing I put down. I put it down. I moderation. I switch it to say, I'm content. I put down. Now I'll give you an example. You have resentment. You have regret. You have agitation. You have worry. All these has to be a one thing you want. Resentment, I don't know. I'm resentful. Can you put down the resentment? What is it you want? You will tell yourself, it's okay. It's the one thing caused me pain. I put it down. I don't want it anymore. I let it go. I am angry. You use that word. Can you, in your mind, say, whatever, whatever. You've used the word. I hear you. Holding on to those words cause me pain. I will put those words down. I will cultivate metta. Metta is a mental state. I will cultivate karuna, compassion as a mental state. I cultivate these mental states. These mental states make it easier for me to put down. I'm telling you, this is how it works. Okay? The way to let go, as the Buddha says in Dhammapada, you let go of anger by loving kindness, by goodwill, not by anger. Anger, resentment, hatred cannot be pacified by anger, resentment, and hatred. It can only be pacified by loving kindness. So your cultivation is towards loving kindness. Don't hold on to the thought, the memory of the resentment. Don't hold on to the anger. So by not holding on, right thought is the construction ready. If I understand this as my baseline, in the manner that I construct, has to be towards the putting down, letting go, letting be, not holding. Because the instinct, akusala, you hold, right? If you don't know what I'm saying, just write it down. Akusala is sticky. They're very sticky. Akusala mental states are very sticky. The instinct of men of the regular mind, when they encounter akusala mental state, is to hold. Akusala, unwholesome, defilement. The instinct of the regular mind, when they encounter akusala mental state, is to hold. If you are training and you are walking this path as Dhamma practice, you must learn not to hold. Tell yourself that. Don't hold onto the akusala mental states. That's right thought. If you don't hold, you will not have ill will. If you have no ill will, there is no cruelty. If you cannot remember as part of your practice on a regular day basis, every time you see, yeah, I'm now guiding you through. I feel unpleasant Vedana. The moment you see unpleasant Vedana, you must say, there is a craving here. I figure out this craving. When you figure out that craving, you will say, I will put it down. I find it very hard. I will put it down. This is the Buddha's guidance. This is the practice. I will put down the unwholesome mental states, not holding on to the unpleasant mental states. So you see, you can be, don't hold on to the object of the unpleasant mental state or the mental state itself. They're not the same. Object, meaning, let's say your object is a person. That's an object. Mental state is not the person. Mental state towards the person. So I let go of the mental state. Not the object, the mental state. Let go, not holding on to the mental state. Then there will be no ill will. No ill will, no cruelty. This is what you need to tell yourself daily. If you can, remember this. This is what's in the mind. This is how you train your mind. This is all part of the mind. Part of the compositions in the mind. So therefore, if it's not holding on, no ill will, no cruelty, then what is in your mind? It will be the other one. If you can, then you push towards generosity, the letting go, the renunciation. You go a bit further, you're giving. You're letting go, you're giving. No ill will, you push a bit further, it's kindness. It's metta. This is one step further. No cruelty is compassion. One step further. So you're cultivating these mental states to make it part of your daily life. Okay? And this thought, it will lead to speech and action. Thoughts, first part, leading to speech and action. And finally, if your speech, action, thought, right speech, right action, the mind is clean, right effort. When the mind is clean, it's wholesome, stillness, samadhi, it's natural. It comes on its own. You don't even have to work hard. You sit, you feel the joy of the kindness. You watch your breathing, you fly, Superman. It's just like that. So if for those of you who say, sister, I cannot sit, my mind cannot stabilize. Why? Because you're not wholesome enough. You don't have enough wholesome mental states as a natural state. It's a natural state that you want. Okay? I'm not judging you. I'm just telling you it's conditional arising. Okay? Now, we go into a quick exercise for those of you. Okay? This one, shall we do 10 minutes, Eileen? Cannot too long. So
Yeah.
very quickly, just grab a few fellas. And I want you, because the intent of this exercise is actually for you, for yourself, to be able to tell yourself how far you have come in this Dhamma journey. So you want to share with your friends, you go ahead. If you don't want to, you just quietly do your own self-reflection. Can? 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Okay. Do you want a breakout room?
Sure. If they want to, if people don't want to talk, I'm also okay. I'm just checking to see when next is your lim kopi moment. This one is a self-reflection thing, okay? Shall we begin again? Let's settle down. Okay. I'm not sure whether the hall hears me. They seem to be ignoring me. I will speak to the ones online. This is a important set of reflection for you. It is not enough to say we want to learn, we want to be practitioner, we want to enable Dhamma to I want to do Dhamma practice and so on and so forth. We have all kinds of aspirations. But the details is what will tell you whether or not you're on track. If the Noble Truths, if the Four Noble Truths I'm using collective, it's a collective now. If the Four Noble Truth has not become your baseline, part of your instinct, part of the way, so as you look at the world and your wanting arises and your planning and your desires and all, they will come up. This is natural. This is spontaneous. This is habit. When all these comes up, if there is no part in your mind space for the noble truths at all, then actually the Dhamma hasn't shaped you in meaningful ways yet. If you find that increasingly there is a part in you that is torn, like a Jekyll and Hyde situation, is torn between two instincts, you know it has started doing its magic. The Dhamma has started its magic. If you find yourself torn between two, on the one hand, you want to chase, you are seeking, there is one thing, there's dukkha associated with that. You know, on the other, there's a part that say, "Ayah, let go lah, moderation lah, sudah lah, contentment lah," like that lor. Whatever it is, whatever your language is, whatever the words are most comfortable to your ears, is you. You find the instinct to have moderation, the instinct to accept, the instinct not to react too strongly. You find all these things happening. That it has started. The Dhamma has started working its magic on you. Okay? And it is good to have a conscious awareness of what's feeding your perception. Because you are exposed to so many things, so many ideas, so many thoughts, so many experiences in a day. You have all these things bombarding you from outside. It is good to know what your mind is accepting and allowing to descend to the level of memory and recollection, because that's what's going to affect your sanya. If every day something happens and your mind leans towards the Dhamma for an answer, you know Dhamma has become very much a part of your life. If you find that in all your experiences, you actually don't remember the noble truths or the three characteristics or the aggregates, if you find that you're not doing any of these things, you know the Dhamma hasn't left much of an imprint in your mind. Okay? It's not for me to tell you how far you have come. It's for you. This is a summary, okay? Essentially, what I was trying to say is you must know for yourself how much you have changed. And you know this by observing how your mind reacts in daily life. If the Dhamma features in your daily life by intruding into your thought process. So here you are chasing something, wanting something, getting angry, etc. This is your regular life, irregular habits. And you find that there is a part in you that say it's okay lah, let go lah, make do lah. Because you chase all these things, there's so much dukkha lah, etc., etc. When you find that your mind periodically brings out the Dhamma, periodically you recall the Dhamma. If you find that your mind is doing that, it means you are on track. Your mind is leaning towards the Dhamma. That's fundamentally what I was trying to say. Okay. But if you find that you, in the manner that you talk, in the manner that you react, the Dhamma has no place in your daily life, then nothing has really changed for you. You may call yourself by any terminology. You may have all kinds of aspiration. But if you find that your daily life doesn't have Dhamma as part of its feature, Dhamma means the Four Noble Truths, the conditioning, the cultivations. If you find you have none of the above as part of your daily life, not even tilakana, not even impermanence, then the ma has no feature. So your baseline hasn't changed. As much as possible, you want to recall the noble truths, because a constant recalling will then lead eventually to them going into your baseline, into your sanya. Okay? Dhamma, to make Dhamma a part of your sanya and to consolidate the Dhamma as your sanya. Your mind initially, maybe deliberately, you got to ask yourself, what did the Buddha say? What did the Four Noble Truths say? So initially, it might be a little contrite, a little nye lai initially. And then the instinct is not there. Like, what would the Buddha say? What the Four Noble Truths? What is the Four Noble Truths again? You may do that initially. But as time passes, as the ma become more and more part of your habit, then it's very instinctive. Every time there is a dukkha, you know there is a craving. You know that you have to ask yourself this question: how much are you prepared to put down? How much are you prepared to let be? You have to start doing that. When you find yourself doing that, you know the ma is increasing its space, its bandwidth in your life, in your mind space. That's what you aim to get. Okay? You ask me, how should I focus my direction? Make the noble truth a habit as part of your consideration. Okay? Now, I also said that the Buddha didn't use the word like this, making use of sanya quality to correct delusional habits. I said the Buddha never said it like this, but he meant this. I will show you the words that will tell you he meant for all this to happen. This is the cultivation part. So, nature of reality, to know what is reality as it is, and then because you're now seeing the world through a different lens, the Dhamma lens, you have to change the way your mind talks, your mind behaves, in order to make you more aligned with the Dhamma. Okay? There are these 5 themes that that should often be reflected upon by both householder and monastic. And I've always said this 557 themes. Anguttara 5, Book of 5, 57, the title is Themes. I'm subject to old age. I'm not exempt from old age. I'm subject to illness. I am not exempt from illness. I am subject to death. I'm not exempt from death. I must be parted and separated from everyone and everything dear and agreeable to me. I'm the owner of my karma, heir of my karma. karma as my origin, karma as my relative, karma as my resort. I will be the heir of whatever karma, good or bad, that I do. These 5 themes, they are part of changing narratives. You see, 1, 2, and 3, old age, illness, death, and separation. This set is reality, ma. It's impermanence, it's dukkha, it's anatta. These 3 plus the 4th one, right? It's impermanence, it's suffering, and it's anatta. Okay, then the 5th one, owner of my karma, heir of my karma, etc., etc. This one is conditionality, but it's a reminder of the importance of keeping the mind wholesome, that we are responsible for actions and our actions have consequences. Our deliberate actions, our deliberate choices have consequences. They can be of help, they can be our obstacles, but we have a choice and we got to be mindful of that choice. If you reflect, so my recommendation is minimally once a day, whether it's morning or at night, minimally once a day. For me, every day, at some point in the day, this will pop up because it's such a habit. It's a habit for me that any of these 5 will pop up every day, at any time. It's suka-suka, it will pop up. So when you find that this is happening to you, it means that your reflection is very helpful. It's starting to work. It will really change the way you see things. This is changing your lens. This reflection will change your lens, the way you see things, the way you behave. So if there is anything worth doing, this is worth doing. This is the basic, this is the most basic. And this is what he introduced to the layperson. Okay. Now, the next part, originally, I intended to hold a short sitting, but we won't have time for that. So can I just suggest, I want all of you to just close your eyes. All of you to just close your eyes, okay? And calmly and quietly, with faith in the Dhamma, faith in the Buddha, with faith and conviction and a desire to really feel these words properly. All of you, on site and online, just close your eyes and I will read to you these words, okay? I am subject to old age. I am not exempt from old age. I am subject to illness. I'm not exempt from illness. I am subject to death. I'm not exempt from death. I must be parted and separated from everyone and everything dear and agreeable to me. I am owner of my karma, heir of my karma. I have karma as my origin, karma as my relative, karma as my resort. I will be the heir of whatever karma, good or bad, that I do. Now I want you to pay attention to your Vedana and to your Sanya. As you listen to these words, What impact do these words have on your Vedana and Sanya? I'm subject to old age. I'm subject to illness. I'm subject to death. I must be parted and separated from everyone and everything dear and agreeable to me. What's my Vedana? What's my Sanya? And now I am the owner of my karma. The heir of my karma means you got to live the consequences of your karma. Owner means you choose. You can choose. You're the one who directed it first. Heir of karma means I would then have to bear the consequences. Karma as my origin. Karma gives rise to you. Karma as my relative. Karma is close to you. Karma as my resort. Because things can change, karma is also a refuge. You can change. You can change things. I'll be the heir of whatever karma, good or bad, that I do. Okay. Pay attention to the Vedana and the Sanya that's happening. And then after this, you just take a mental bow before the Buddha. Okay, just mental bow. And you can open your eyes. I believe that many of you, when you are reflecting and hearing these words, there is this moment of somberness. A bit poignant, right? Especially the part that says, I will be separated, parted from everything, everyone dear to me. Maybe you're not so afraid of old age, you're very young. You're okay with illness, it's not uncommon. Death is a little bit more, and then comes this one that's separated. There will be one. You cannot be in La La Land listening to these words. Every day, if you don't have these words, every day you'll be in La La Land. You'll be chasing this, like living like there's no tomorrow, you'll be chasing. But you reflect on these words, and for that moment, for that brief moment, when your mind is recalling these words, for that brief moment, you are back in reality. And reality at that moment is a little bit poignant. Okay. For most of you, if not all of you, you will feel a tinge of sadness. Don't come and tell me I'm happy, okay? You're not there yet. Most of you listening and reflecting on these words will feel a tinge of sadness. That sadness is because you have attachment. If you have no attachment, you're looking at these words, you will acknowledge, and there will be a neutral feeling. It's neutral. But if you feel a tinge of sadness, you look at the words and you feel a tinge, that tinge tells us, the tinge must tell us we have attachment. No attachment, no tinge. Got tinge, got attachment. Then you happy how? Then you are mad. This is delusional La La Land. Okay, there is no way you can be happy. The Arahant looking at this was feel nothing, but no joy. Okay? Okay. I propose that we skip this. Is that okay with everyone? I just factor it in to just as a reminder, because we're going to a new set of teaching guidance. We just skip this and move on, can? Okay, Okay. To continue on the theme of changing narrative, to correct distortion, okay? This is distortion. So earlier on, that version is the easiest version and the one I remember because it's the easiest. 557, okay? All these he introduced for Sangha, monks. And this is high level training. This is high level training. This is so that the regular mind, the monk's mind, is able to completely shift away from delight and pleasure. So here the words are monks go beyond reflecting just on old age, sickness, and death. Those are the big milestones, okay? They go for the minute one on a daily basis, point to point, point to point. They steer their mind away from pleasure and delight. So this is how they cultivate. They cultivate. If they can do this well, nibbana. That's why it says culminating in the deathless. If they do this well, they will experience in this time, in this life, nibbana. And it's the perception of unattractive. So sanya of unattractiveness, sanya of death, death. And for the monk, it's death in the next breath, death in the next swallow. 不是我们这个 pattern 的 death at some point. Okay? So monk one is death in the next minute. The next minute. Perception of danger, perception of repulsiveness of food, perception of non-delight in the entire world. I won't go into this because subsequently I have a better ones with more elaboration. But you look at there's a perception of unattractiveness, of death, of danger, repulsiveness of food, non-delight in the world. All these words tells you this is where we are, this is what we are drawn towards. This is where we find pleasure. Okay? We find pleasure in food. We find pleasure in sense bases. We are oblivious of life ending. The danger is how life can end. We are oblivious to that. And we are focused on beautiful. Okay? This is what it means. More example. These are all more examples. Same thing. Impermanence, non-self, perception of death, repulsive of food, non-delight in the world. Okay? Now, this is the one with detail. Giri Mananda Sutta. All 10. Giri Mananda is this monk who was not well. Like, I'm so sick. So sick. Buddha told Ananda, you go tell him, reflect on these 10 imperfections. These 10 perceptions. And on hearing them, maybe he will be okay. That's essentially what the Buddha said. So Ananda went and talked to Giri Mananda. Buddha said, you reflect on this. This is how you do it. Okay, so this one has details. Impermanent, non-self, unattractiveness, danger, abandoning, dispassion, cessation, non-delight in the world, impermanence in all condition, phenomenal, mindfulness of breathing. Okay, let's begin. Impermanence. So the first part says, what the first part tells you is that the bhikkhu is alone. Okay? He is sitting alone. So when you're doing this reflection, you should be alone. It's not should be discussing amongst yourself. And when you're alone, these are your 5 aggregates: form, feeling, perception, volitional activities, consciousness. For each of them, as you sit quietly, you reflect on each of them being impermanent. For each of them, you reflect on them being impermanent. Then the second one is 6 sense bases. You sit quietly and you reflect. I is non-self. Form, non-self. Ear is non-self. Sound, non-self. Nose is non-self. Orders, non-self. Tongue is non-self. Taste, non-self. Body, tactile, mind, mental, phenomenal, non-self. 6 internal, 6 external sense bases. So, for those of you whose mind go quiet and very still, some of you have asked me, then what do I do? you do this. But not both at the same time. Do it separately. You sit and you reflect on the 4 elements of the form, or you can reflect on all the internal organs and all the unattractive features of the body and see every one of them as impermanent. The mind starting to observe, pay attention to Vedana. Vedana rises, Vedana fading, impermanent. At every moment, actually perception is the most, you would think Vedana is impermanent. Perception is even more impermanent. As you recognize it's over, you keep recognizing it keeps changing. I see. It's so impermanent. Perception, if you're sitting quietly in meditation, there is no volitional thought. But next week, I will explain to you Shankara. What is the Shankara you can observe when you are sitting? When there's no thought, then what is Shankara? I will explain to you next week, okay? And then consciousness is that awareness. Keep flipping. Okay, this is with regards to 5 aggregates as impermanent. Non-self, actually you can do vice versa. You can also look at all the aggregates as non-self. You can also look at the sense impression as impermanent. It is okay. But this is 5 aggregates and that's 6 sense bases. They're not the same. Okay, 6 internal, 6 external sense bases. So this in number 2 is changing narrative. It is not realization of non-self. It's you telling yourself, the I is non-self. The form is non-self. You are telling yourself, you are changing narratives. This is not a realization. Okay? It's not a realization. This is shifting narratives. Of course, in the process of you keep saying the words, at some point, there is a realization. They are not words. For once in your life, you have an experiential experience of non-self in the form, in the I, and so on and so forth. So be it. This is your experience. It's an awakening. Okay? You talk until you're awakened. And then you say, does it work like that? Yes, it can. It can work like that. It can be, and suddenly there is a realization and a dawning. Indeed, it is true. It's non-self. It can be like that. Okay? 1 and 2. Unattractiveness, this is essentially the 32 parts or 31 parts. Okay, I don't want to go into I don't want to repeat broadcast. The slides will be given to you, or you can take pictures and then you can learn. But this is unattractive. What is unattractive? The body is unattractive. Why is this important? I hope that in the past 2 weeks, you are beginning to discern that the habit is to look for the attractive, but in reality, there's much more of the body that really, if you pay attention, is unattractive. I hope you realize that. I wasted my 2 weeks telling you this. Okay? So hopefully, this one, I want to pay. You don't need the details. But the key component here is all the different ways the body can fall apart. All the different ways you can encounter real danger to this body. So you see all the diseases. You look at all the diseases. The Buddha was not a great anatomy doctor, all the details. He's just everything that is common and he can recall, he just whacked there. Okay. And indeed, these are the illnesses which they have. Leprosy is not common today for us, but presumably in those days, it was very serious and very real. So, In our modern world, what should we reflect on? Do we do it like this? You don't have to. My advice to you is to do it a little bit differently. In our modern world, it's very real to run into accident, right? It's very real. Be aware of that. I mean, I got into accident. Hey, I broke my ankle. You all can just reflect on it. You don't have to like practice a run. No need to do the practice run. But it is real. And some of these accidents kill. So the intent here, the perception of danger here, is to be acquainted with the vulnerabilities of life. That's what this is about. This is not a sway version of prediction. No, it is just us thinking to ourselves. Very real, right? Any one of us can get cancer. In fact, now it's so common, you will not be very surprised when you are diagnosed with 1, 2, 3, 4 stage of cancer. You will not be very surprised. Meaning, not surprised in the sense that, why? You won't do that. You will go, yeah, jackpot. It will be like that. And there's so many. You will have liver trouble, strokes. Here you don't see stroke, huh? You see that? I don't think there was a mention of stroke because people had stroke in his time, they will die. Whereas in our time, we can survive. Heart attack will kill you then. So no need to say one sure die one. But in our time, you can have a heart attack, you can have a stroke, you can be hit by cancer. Go for the ones that are more because it's more common, and therefore your mind will believe. You want to reflect on the danger, you will reflect on the common one. So for myself, I have always reflected on cancer because I have had because I hang around the hospice group and all. I'm most familiar with people with cancer. I've got many friends who had that, therefore it's very real for me. And therefore, in my reflection, it's always diagnosis of cancer. Like that, lor. Okay? So you should, after your 5 themes reflection, you should do this one, perception of danger. This will create a sense of urgency, a sense, a constant reminder of mortality, and a deep sense of urgency. This is very helpful. Okay? So do it. 5, abandoning defilements. Fundamentally is defilements. Buddha told the monk, you don't even tolerate a reason. That means balu like just when defilement raises its head, because these are very good practitioners, they will recognize coming up, they're not our pattern. There's quarter for a while, then you realize this kind of pattern, no standard. Coming up here, that is a reason, just came up. He will abandon because he doesn't tolerate. Whereas for many of us, we entertain our defilement guests. They make an appearance, we like entertain them. 请坐, come, let me offer you some drinks. And then you start thinking about it. And when you start thinking about the defilements, you have already entertained and you have welcomed and you're entertaining and you're putting up with them. So cannot. The Buddha says abandon. Cut it out straight away. Number 6 is beautiful. Number 6 is a reminder of for those of us, for those of you whose mind can go quiet. You are told by the Buddha to remember, to recall. Perception, sanya, sits on memory. So what is he saying? Recall the experience of samadhi. Okay? This is recalling the experience of samadhi. So in a moment when you feel a bit agitated and you tell yourself, don't pay attention to the defilement. Instead, let's recall samadhi. And the moment if your meditation, your samadhi is one kind of kilat, if your samadhi is very natural, it comes deep for you, then the Buddha's advice is you recall and you reflect. This is peaceful, this is sublime, this is the stealing of all activities. This activities, mental activities. So there's no thinking. The stealing of activities, mental activities, the letting go of mental activities. I don't know if you have gone all the way to Nibbana, but Samadhi also boleh. Okay? Okay, ah? Ikun okay? Where I can see Ikun, ma. I can't see the rest of you so well. Perception of cessation, same. Perception of non-delight in the world. So one is dispassion, one is cessation, same. Okay. And number 8, perception of non-delight in the entire world. Because this is a Sangha, and the Sangha is held to a much higher standard. So the Sangha, his advice, don't get involved in activities and clinging and mental standpoint that its views, adherence, underlying tendencies. So the Sangha goes for the big thing. The mind doesn't land anywhere. The mind is not attached to anything. So it doesn't land anywhere. That's Sangha. Impermanence. Impermanence, the perception of impermanence is on-conditioned phenomenal. This one is different from the other one, which is impermanence. The other one, impermanence, is about life. Here, this guy is going at a very high level. So whatever arises fades away. He's operating at that level. Whatever condition that arises will fade away. So if every condition that arises fade away, what's there to hold? So he's going at that level. It's a particular semua pada level. Okay. And finally, this look, number 10. Sit quietly, watch breathing, that's life. Okay? Just watch breathing and that's life for them. This is as beautiful as it gets. For those of you who say, what is so beautiful about breathing? You don't understand the mind that's quiet. When the mind is quiet, so you're experiencing samadhi. Some of you are smiling, you're recalling the samadhi. And then in recalling that samadhi, you remembered that breathing. This is this level at all time. At all time, their mind returns to the breathing. And in that breathing is a quiet and a stillness. And that is their life. It's so beautiful, right? And it's a reminder. So that's why Girimananda will recover. He remembered number 10, he will recover. That is a powerful, because his body hasn't fallen apart yet. Okay? Okay. Hey, we are making good time. Everyone okay? On site, please wave. You okay? I can continue? Okay. Changing narratives affecting craving, right? How does it work? In this one, I want you to pay attention to the color because they are different set. And I took a lot of time to do these colors, so you must appreciate, okay? Must like, oh, so beautiful your color. Okay, like this, 7 perception. So 7 changing of sanya. This is 7 changing of sanya. Okay? This is 7 types of sanya levels. When developed and cultivated. Now, what do these two words mean? Develop, cultivated. Sanya is to be cultivated, law is changing narrative so that it changes your sanya. And Buddha said they are very fruitful and beneficial. Okay. And they will eventually lead you to Nibbana. They culminate in the deathless end with the deathless, nibbana. And what are the 7? The perception of ugliness, sanya, I will use the word sanya, the sanya of ugliness, the sanya of death, the sanya of repulsiveness of food, the sanya of dissatisfaction with the whole world, the sanya of impermanence, and the sanya in suffering, impermanence, sanya in not self, in suffering. Okay, the first one, ugliness. So you see, when the monk, so it says Sujato's translation, the monk often meditates with a mind reinforced with the perception of ugliness, the ugliness of the body, unattractiveness of the body. Okay. The mind will draw back from sexual intercourse. The mind will shrink away, turn aside, not drawn into it. So either you have equanimity or you have the it becomes stabilized. Like the chicken feather or a scrape of sinew thrown in the fire, shrivels up, shrinks, roll, and doesn't stretch out. So vivid, right? His analogy is so vivid. Q. Okay? If your mind constantly reflect on body parts, how to have sex? Does the mind lean towards the body? All you see is body parts. So why did he teach this? He didn't teach this to the lay people, okay? I'm telling you, this one was not taught to the lay people. It's taught to the monk because monk has to have celibacy. But monks are human. And if they are not well practiced, the monk's mind can roam in the direction of the beautiful. So to help the monks stay on track in the practice, they have to change the sanya. This is with intent of helping the monk shift from perceiving beautiful bodies to ugliness of the body, unattractiveness of the body. Okay? Then we move on. If your mind constantly reflect on death, the mind will draw away from a desire to be reborn. Why? When you think of life and you think of sense pleasures and you think of people and attractions and so on, then at the moment of death, the mind will lean towards rebirth, lean towards what draws rebirth. Give me a minute. Very, very dry. The mind leans towards object, and object will draw that rebirth. So you remember pleasure, you remember people, you remember events, you remember affirmation. Ta-da, die that time, come back alive. But if you keep looking at death, there will be a part of you that will say to be reborn, it's terrible. It means death. You're not thinking of life, you're thinking of death. So because of that, at death, the mind doesn't lean towards rebirth. Okay? Repulsiveness of food, the mind will lean away, draws away from craving for taste. This one is self-explanatory. You meditate with a mind reinforced with perception of dissatisfaction with the world. So meaning you focus more the world, there's nothing beautiful, the world, there's nothing lovely, that world, there's nothing for you, right? Then the mind will draw away from the world, shiny things, the beautiful things of life, the attractive things of life. If you focus on impermanence, the mind will draw away from material possession, honor, and fame. Has any one of you actually spent your time looking at impermanence of the aggregates? Impermanence of aggregates, impermanence of life, mortality. If you have, you begin to have this If you're going to die, so you remember I always say that this one doesn't say attachment to family. You see that? It says draw back from material possession, honor, and fame. It doesn't say it. Buddha was very specific. This one, just focusing on impermanence, does not lead one to necessarily let go of family and loved ones. It merely leads you to let go of your desire for material accumulations, all this trinkets and all, and for self-affirmation. Honor and fame is about the self-affirmation. You will turn away from that, okay? You keep focusing on the perception of suffering in the impermanence. It will create a sense of urgency, perception of danger of sloth and laziness, slackness, negligence, lack of commitment, failure to review. Basically, you stop practicing properly. So if you keep focusing, if you keep telling yourself, there is dukkha in there's dukkha in impermanence, dukkha in impermanence, dukkha in impermanence. So it's basically dukkha and impermanence at the same time, right? A part of you will say, hey, come to practice, must practice. Okay. And finally, non-self. You keep focusing on non-self, the mind will be rid of ego, possessiveness, and conceit. Okay? Buddha's guidance. So I don't want to go too much into this. You just know that this is what the Buddha said. There is a purpose in trying to develop and cultivate right perception. Sanya, shift your sanya. There is a purpose to that because it will tackle the different types of attachment that we have. You decide for yourself if in this life you want to start with the practice. But you must know that when you start doing certain things in a very consistent and deliberate way, it will then affect your sanya, and that is what you are turning away from. So you keep looking at the 32 parts, the body parts, unattractive body, you will maybe not in name, but in essence, you will observe celibacy and becoming a lay monastic. That will happen. Okay? And so on. So for those of you who want to lose weight, I want to cut back on your craving for food, the practice, this one will be best weight loss program. Focus on the repulsiveness of food. Think of the output, don't think of the input. Okay? Think of the output. Okay. Done. Hey, I managed to cover the ground. With time to spare, I can answer question now. So, questions.
Any from the floor?
First, a very quick one. Is this too fast? Is this speed okay?
Yes.
Feel like do this or do this?
Hands up. Okay, we start with Dan.
Just you use the word meditate on impermanence, meditate on this, meditate on that. What do you exactly do when you say you meditate on each of the themes? You calm yourself down and you
I
start.
didn't use the words. Did I use the words? I thought it was the Buddha who used those
The
words.
last, oh yeah,
Yeah, these are Buddha's words.
the last slide. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So you sit and you contemplate, you think about it.
Yes.
Okay.
When you sit and so for people who ask, what do you do when the mind goes quiet? What do you focus on? These are some of your choices. You can focus on any of these choices for the mind to go quiet. When the mind goes quiet. So you must get to a state of stillness first. Then whatever that you recall, that's what the mind wants to reflect on. And then you sit there and you quietly, you imprint in your meditation, you imprint into the mind the unattractiveness of food or the repulsiveness of food. or the impermanence of life, or any of these non-self in the dukkha, etc., etc. So you imprint on the mind, you reflect, and you imprint. Then, if this becomes part of your habit, in your daily life, it will translate into new habits. You cannot but remember repulsiveness of food. So don't come to me and say, how is it these days I don't find joy in food like that? Look at it, okay, that will happen, That will happen. I tell you what happened years back when I was still in Yangon. I know these things work. I know these because I was doing some of them when I was in Yangon. I am at that point my memory is still very good. So I will recall what I read, and I say, okay, let's do this. Let's do this in the meditation, or let's do this in your daily reflection. So the 5 themes, I've done the 5 themes for a sustained period for 30 minutes. Sustain, but that means you don't allow your mind to stray. You just stay on the 5 themes. It doesn't even take half an hour. I did it for half an hour, but it doesn't even take half an hour. It's about 20 minutes or so, right? The mind shifts. It gets disoriented. For me personally, my experience, it got a bit disoriented. There's this sudden realization that death is real. It's very, very real. Where's your urgency to practice? You're gonna fall sick. You're gonna grow old. You'll be sad. I felt sadness that indeed this is all true. I felt all the power of those words resonate deeply in the mind. And then you cannot quite, I mean, when you drop the sustained reflection, you dropped it, then you go back into your regular habits. But that part, because it left such a deep imprint, it won't fade away. So because of that, actually there is a part in me today, right, that is very aware of death. Not as aware as the monks who like death in the next breath type lah, but it never really fade. So you can leave a very deep imprint by the way that you sustain the reflection. And you want to do it. Because if not, if you don't, first, this is reality. This is reality, right? And if you don't, you say, I want to see reality as it is, you have to go this way. This is part of this journey towards ultimate reality as it is. So your mind no longer is stuck in la la land, delusional land. Okay? This is the practice. The practice is not seeing how minute contact is, how minute things are. No. The practice, the big one, is cessation of dukkha. Cessation of dukkha has to have cessation of craving. Cessation of craving has to first look at craving. What are you craving for? Then you need to look at the meaninglessness of those craving. That's how this thing works. So you look at the meaninglessness of that craving. Then you realize that it's meaningless because the mind works on certain assumption. It assumes immortality. It assumes beautiful. It assumes sukha. Oh my gosh, my mind has all these crazy assumptions. You got to be awakened to the mind crazy assumptions, delusional assumptions. Then once you're awakened to the delusional assumptions, then you're ready to tackle craving properly. Be awakened to the delusional assumptions, so then you have the incentive to cultivate the correct mental states, the correct perspective correctly. Understand? You understand? Okay. Any more? Or on-site first?
Yes.
Thank you, sister. My question is, so when we reflect on, say, death, impermanence, and then like you said, right, whenever it comes to this part about we'll be parted from our loved ones and things that we like, there's always this sense of, I guess, feeling and emotions. So how do we moderate that?
No, no,
I,
no, no. Don't moderate. Just see the emotion. So you see the Vedana as it is, arising and falling away. So you see, you reflect separated, then the pain, unpleasant will come up. Then you switch and then you look at unpleasant arising and fade away. To imprint in your mind, Vedana is impermanent. Okay, Vedana is impermanent. Then the mind quickly jumped to say, yeah, but then my people, my loved ones will die. Then you must recognize there's Shankara and there's Sanya coming up already. Again, impermanent. Sanya, just see it as Sanya, see it as Sankara. Don't entertain the details. Just recognize the Sanya, recognize the Shankara construction. Then when you recognize the Sanya and the Shankara, then at that moment, you have an experience of aggregates. You also got a bit of joy one. Okay? And so don't be afraid of the Vedana. You have to face it. You might as well face it now. Okay?
I always
Because
think
your regular mind doesn't want to entertain this. So you are forcing the mind to recognize reality as it is, to provide a balance. This is the balance that you are generating for yourself. If you find that you're off the balance, it's also not good. Like, I'm dead, die, I must go die now. That also no good. That means your balance is off. Then now you will go back to metta, dhamma, saddha, all those wholesome mental states to bring back the peace and the joy in the practice. Okay? Remember, it's about balance. Right now, all of us live our life with no balance. Right now. No balance because we are happy to continue living like ants in a la-la land. And then be hit by the storm, the flood of there, like, oh my gosh, people die. And then you got caught off guard, and then you cry, and then you grieve, and then you've done nothing to help yourself in this life. Okay? The poignant part is inevitable. Okay, please continue your question.
so. I kind of see it as I need to manage that clinging.
For sure.
And this
To
is the part
manage
that I
it,
don't know how. I mean, how do we go about that part?
look at the Vedana. Don't look at the object of your clinging. The Vedana. Okay? So if you think and then you're sad, straight away you drop the words and you look at sad. Look at unpleasant. You see the unpleasant, don't look at the words and the thoughts and the object of the thoughts. Look at the Vedana. And then Vedana, the moment you stop your thoughts, Vedana will come up like that. It will go up and it will fade. So recognize fading away. And then at that moment, you will feel, oh, Vedana comes and Vedana go. So you learn something. You understand? And actually at that point, it will stop. You will actually feel neutral until you bring up the words again. You don't bring up the words, there is nothing. There is just sad, gone. Unpleasant, fade away. And then you go and think, yeah, but they will die. Then it will start again. The Vedana will start again. So in that experience, you will then see for yourself, indeed, Vedana is impermanent. Indeed, attachment leads to construction. Can you see that? Online, on-site, do you all get it? I never say it's easy, but I'm just telling you, this is how you can do it. Okay? Okay, Eileen, moving on. No more, we just go online.
No more? Okay, we will go online.
Okay, you read to me. I lost track already, so many online. Which one you want?
Wow, there's one that's so long.
We take the short one first.
Yes.
The shorter your question, the faster I answer.
Okay.
They all seem to be very long. All very long.
With memory. Okay, one. Is using possibility to counter I don't know which question she's saying. A way of opposing from NOR.
Ask. I have I don't understand this. Can the person who wrote this question rewrite your question? Next.
Uh,
I must tell you, you want me to answer your question, you got to make it short and sharp. Not le 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 le. Too
Yeah.
many le le le, we won't answer it because it's too much time.
This is also a long one. Here, Sister Sylvia, there is the unconditional wellness in the mind when there is acceptance of reality as it is. That is the third noble. Is that the third noble truth?
Repeat that again.
There is the unconditional wellness
Unconditioned.
wellness in the mind when there is acceptance of reality as it is.
Yes.
So she's asking whether this is the third noble.
Yes.
So would it be correct to say that the unconditioned wellness or okayness is our essential nature instead of dukkha, which is due to ignorance or craving? Can this not be our
There
baseline?
is no such thing as an essential nature. Do not get tricked by words like this. Don't use words that then create new attachment. Don't use words that create attachment. Essential, true. Let's not go there, okay? Because Buddha never used those words. Buddha merely used the words. The words that the Buddha used, we pay attention to the words he used and how he said it. He never used the word true nature, base nature, essential nature, true self. He never used any of those words. Unconditioned means when there is no attachment. There is no chasing. There is no craving. The mind settles. There is a sense of settling. That sense of settling is experienced as wholesome, pleasant, peaceful. That settling is what anybody who didn't cling, who didn't chase, who didn't have one thing, that settling, it's natural. Okay? The problem for everyone is they will have arisings. They will have chasing, clinging, wanting. Because the natural habit of the mind is to go after what is out there. Basically, your sense-based delight, your sense-based pursuits, or to then go inwards into the mind-based pursuits and delights. And if you are not mindful, this mind as habit will go out and will go in and bounces between. If you are not mindful. So mindfulness, samadhi, helps one to realize that there is that state where the mind settles and there is the usual habits where the mind chases. It starts to be able to differentiate. That settling mind is when it is content, it is accepting, it has no desires, it sits on its own quietly. And this is natural. Anyone can experience this. If you have never experienced this, it means you have too much of desires, too many chasing, so you cannot settle. So everything about the Dhamma, everything about the teaching is to try and help you to, with understanding, with correct understanding, slowly ease away from chasing outwards and chasing inwards. Ease away from that habit of chasing. That's one level. However, even when we can consciously not chase, the underlying habits to yearn is still there. So in the manner that we slowly correct this habit, you have to keep going deeper and deeper and deeper to the deepest of the underlying habits. In order for you to get to that level of deep letting go, you have to get rid of the higher letting go, the more obvious ones, the big loba, the big dosa, the big moha. Okay, you got to get rid of those first until you get to the deepest, most layer, which is very instinctive. Very instinctive. And the Buddha in the 10 fetters, which we will talk about in the next term, the 10 fetters is part of this going deeper and deeper and deeper. Okay? It's not so easy to just say, oh, if I let go, then I'm done. But your habit, your subconscious, the subconscious one thing, have you seen? They say, but it's subconscious. But if your samadhi is strong enough, you can see down to the subconscious in the sense that it's not obvious, but you can actually go down deeper and deeper and deeper. Okay.
Thank you. Then here's a shorter one. Can you elaborate on the nuance and difference between cultivating a mind that draws back from desire to birth versus non-becoming?
Drawing back from desire to reborn
Yeah.
is there is no will there. There's no willing. It just doesn't go. Whereas vibhava, non-becoming, is will. I want not to do it. I want not to be there. There is a one thing. I want to don't become is still a one. It's just that I want not to become. The drawing away, there is no one thing. There is just instinctively, there's no willing, but there's no desiring. That's all. There's no willing. So if you don't understand what I'm saying, it's because you haven't seen the mind yet. That's all. And I cannot explain the mind. I cannot explain something that you have not experienced. Okay?
Thank you. May I know, will karma affect one perception in a way to prevent one from having a right view or right thoughts?
Karma.
Karma.
No. It's karma. So you can. Karma it means conditions of the mind. Karma actually means conditions of the mind. It's the actions that you have perpetuated that then leaves a habit in the mind. Or you can call it a habit, you can call it a stain, call it a habit, maybe it's less of a judging word. Call it a stain, then it is very judging. But karma actually means the choices that you make leading to your mind being in a particular state, a certain habit. So of course, karma can lead to you not wanting to have the right view, unable to get the right view, because it's so habitually fixed on a wrong view. That can happen. Okay? It doesn't mean you don't have, it's all the mind's habit.
When we contemplate on death, impermanence, repulsiveness of food, sometimes we go in and out of these states. How do we sustain these states?
By continuing to hold, it's like a reflection, no? You continue to bring it up and bring it up and remember and pin it down. You recall, and every meal you take, you recall. Okay, let's say it's about food. Every meal you recall. Very dry. Give me a minute. Every meal you take, you remember. So it's just like my 5 theme I said, every day when you wake up or when you go to bed, you recall. You create a space and you make sure you do it. You do it often enough, it becomes your habit. Okay? No,
Right.
I want to go back to your karma thing. I need to explain this carefully. When people ask question, I have to listen very carefully because sometimes embedded in your questions are some assumptions. In the first place, the assumptions are already wrong. So when your assumptions are wrong, I may be answering the question, but you don't get it because it doesn't address your assumptions. So when the person asks, does karma prevent you from getting the right view? I don't know if your assumption is karma is some magical force that comes about and prevent you. No, karma is not magical force. Karma is the conditions of your mind. That's the karma that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about some magic ghosts or spirits or whatever, and or some unfortunate event preventing you to get to the temple. None of those. I'm talking about the karma of your mind. Because karma is the mind. It's
Yeah.
the
Maybe
things
the
that happen in the mind.
person is thinking of vipaka, the results of karma, not the karma itself.
But vipaka is the
Intention.
result of karma. Vipaka is the conditions of the mind also. So yes, for instance, I'll give you one example. Let's say for whatever reason, stubbornness is your habit. So stubbornness is now a karma, right? It's a vipaka or a karma of your mind. It's a habit of the mind. And because of that as your habit, then it is until you meet someone that you have 缘分 or have chemistry and who speaks in a way that you connect well. Otherwise, it is impossible for you to listen to someone, to hear another. Then like that, lor. You may come into contact with a Pachika Buddha, you come into contact with an Arya Sangha, but because you're stubborn, or because you have conceit, or because you are dim-witted, which is the Buddha's words, the word dim-witted is the Buddha's words. You're dim-witted, then hard for you to understand, no? It is impossible for you to understand that can happen. Okay? Those are just conditions of the mind. Then how do you change those? You have self-awareness. You must have self-awareness. Or at some point, if you have good friends and good friends tell you, look, the way you are handling it, you're never going to learn the Dhamma. And then you have to, with the self-awareness, conscientiously, deliberately lower the obstacle deliberately. So let's say if your problem is you cannot hear because you're too busy talking, then you must consciously and deliberately tell yourself, pay attention, hear properly. And then you may want to repeat broadcast, taped, watch it again and again until you hear everything. So you have to take concrete steps and deliberate steps to go and do something about the obstacle. Okay? Okay, what's next? Who's next?
Miss Sylvia, I saw a lot of mentioning on non-self. I'm having problems understanding what this means, especially with regards to who is the person that is doing the perceiving if there is no
Non-self will be discussed third lecture from today. I will not talk about it today. Third lecture from today. In the meantime, focus on seeing the form, the Vedana, the Sanya, and then do your, this is not mine, this is not I, this is not self. Just do it like that first, okay? You cannot talk your way into non-self realization. There is no way. You have to create the conditions for you, for an awareness and an understanding and a realization of non-self. You cannot talk your way into it. It is not possible. In fact, there are teachers out there, very renowned, very established, who couldn't quite figure this out either and spend their time arguing about non-self and not self. Okay? You can go online and you check. They actually spend time arguing. Buddha didn't say not self, Buddha say not self, not non-self, la 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 la. These are eminent scholars, and very established teachers who struggle with this. So there is no way I am able to teach you and explain to you in one recording. It's not possible. But 3 lessons, the third lesson from now, maybe some of you will begin to get it. I dare not say all. I say some of you will begin to get it. Okay?
Dear
Move on.
Dear Sister Sylvia, thank you for the wonderful teaching thus far. I would like to know your thoughts about the view of when one is perhaps attached to dukkha. For instance, if I see the value or accept the pain of exercise because I value or experience the health benefits of exercise, I physically feel good and healthier in mind and body after exercising. I'm also a musician and I have been conditioned for many years to value hard work, which certainly translates to creating better music. How might this relate to Dhamma practice?
You know, you are attached to success, ma. You are just paying the price of the pain in anticipation of results. That is not dukkha. I mean, you are experiencing dukkha but not understanding dukkha. Okay, it's not the same. I'm paying a price, but I know that I'm confident, or at least I'm hopeful, that at the end of paying this price, I will have the results I want, the pleasure of that, in which case it justifies the pain. That's not dukkha. Pain is not dukkha. Dukkha is suffering. Then you say dukkha and pain, dukkha dukkhata. It's just one form of it. It is dukkha, but it's just one form of it. This is not an understanding of dukkha. How would you take it if you realize that life has no meaning, that you are born, live through a whole series of grappling with life's dukkha? It's just surge at you, and there's no way out, and there is no hope, and you will die miserable. If this is how you perceive life, you still want life? Most people, it's either they fear death, because what comes next could be worse, or they live on hope and dreams, and in the belief that time will lead to things improving, things better. And when you live with hope and plans and dream, it makes current dukkha palatable. Current dukkha palatable. That's how we deal with dukkha. Okay? We deal with dukkha by ignoring, by either ignoring or by looking for something different or hoping for the end good results and so on and so forth. That's not understanding dukkha. Understanding dukkha properly is to finally realize that dukkha is the result of your own habits from past and present, and then going forward, the habits can follow. And that actually, whatever you imbued with meaning, whatever hopes that you have, whatever it is, they will all come crashing down at the end. That there is really no real, intangible, unconditioned meaning to life. There isn't. All meaning to life is imbued, is constructed. It's us saying to ourselves, it's meaningful, it's meaningful. You got to find it. Okay? So I cannot remember exactly your question, but I hope that in my meandering, you actually have some useful takeaway. I don't believe there are people who are attached to dukkha. You're attached to, you are prepared to pay the price of the pain in anticipation of a results. Okay?
Last question, Sylvia. How about the arising of like and dislike? Is those embedded to
Of
into
course, it's
perception?
embedded in your perception. And Sanya, I don't want to use the word perception, which is an English word and it doesn't carry the meaning as well. Every likes and dislike sits on memory. Every likes and dislikes sits on memory of sort. Sometimes the memory you remember. Sometimes, meaning it sits on your memory bank. Sometimes conscious enough you remember, you can even connect. Oh, that was the incident, that was the person. Sometimes you only vaguely recall, vague. You don't even remember exactly what it is. You don't exactly what you don't remember, but it's vague enough. Sometimes you can't even connect. You're like, I don't know why, but I like it. It will sit on something stored away somewhere, either vaguely connected or this even the shape. So, example, someone told me, this was repeating in the class. He said he saw someone on the road while waiting at a pedestrian crossing, and he's so angry with the guy in front of him. So angry. He didn't understand why was he so angry, why so negative. It turned out that upon reflection, he realized the shape of the person reminded him of the uncle who always scolded him. So a shape, an innocent little shape, triggers something deep in his consciousness, which is sanya, because it's recalling. But it's not conscious enough for you to directly say, oh, uncle. It took him a while to realize it's the uncle shape that led to the arising of intense dislike. So yes, it's sanya that leads to your likes and dislikes, but it's sanya of vedana. It's a sanya of vedana. He remembering his uncle who gave him grief, so his sanya remembered pain, and he doesn't like the guy. So that was powerful. To me, it's a lovely question. It's a lovely story. Okay.
Thank
Anything
you.
else?
Yeah. You can continue.
Oh, okay. The rest of my slides.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I need to tell you guys. Oh, I need to tell you guys this. The DFC retreat on the 20th October is cancelled because we are going to do we're going to do a chaga walk instead. Chaga walk. So basically, I have adopted as my charity this year, HCA. Actually, HCA has always been my charity. It's hospice care, looking after people who are dying. Later on, we'll play you a video. I hope this time it works. I'll play you a video. Yes, Agnes, my family members can come and join, but I'll show you what we want to do. Here is for donation, okay? Oh, sorry, this is not for donation. This is for joining us that day. This is for joining us that day. So if you are interested to join the Jetawana group to go for the walk, you can do the QR code here, just the QR code, and then I'll show you how it look like, okay? It will take you, when you click on the QR code, it will take you to this form. You can choose whether you want to come and join us for a physical event or the virtual walk. When you go scroll down, you will see this. My suggestion to you guys is, join as a member of the existing team. The team is Jetawana. Can you see that? The circle part is Jetawana. The team code U0015X. And then it will ask you, the third slide will come out. And then you fill in the forms. Do you understand? I'm inviting all of you from DFC2 to come and join us for the walk. This is the registration form. When you click the QR code, it will take you to this site. And then you can decide you want to join as an individual, or my recommendation is join us, Jetawana. There's a whole bunch of us. We have 39 people, 39 people in the group. It's a whole bunch of Buddhists doing this together. Last year we did this. We had a lot of fun. And then after that, we will share merits. We will chant, we'll share merits, and then we are off. Okay? So this is what it looks like. Come and join us. Now I'm going to play you the slides that we, the video that we couldn't play last week. Let's hope it works today. Oh no. Can you hear it?
我就是起来
Yeah.
就早上吃药，起初是高血压那些，然后后来就肺喘了，每次气喘到进医院，进很多次了，现在就是没有气力了，要靠这个了。
Mr. Ching is diagnosed with chronic pulmonary disease. The doctor feels that with multiple organs failing, he is not likely to sort of survive another year. And that's why he was referred to us. Our patients here have about 3 to 6 months with us. So one of the biggest challenge I find is, how do we make them feel that life is still worth the living?
A home care service like ours in HCA recognizes that the home is where a patient who is sick in this very special situation truly wants to be. Being at home gives the patient the liberty to decide what I'm going to do today, what I'm going to eat. That, to a certain extent, accords that patient that dignity to determine what his living is going to be like in the remaining days. HCA Hospice Care is the largest home hospice in Singapore, looking after almost 1,000 patients at any one time. As an organization, we believe that nobody should be charged a fee to access hospice. Equipments we loan free of charge, and all our patients in the home hospice enjoy 24/7 cover in terms of medical assistance.
有时候不可以出去不能去看医生，我有事就可以打电话，他们可以来我这，很大的帮助。
We have 2 other services under our umbrella, one of which is called Star Health. It looks after children between 0 to 19 with a life-limiting illness, helping the parents to ensure that they can continue to live as a family as well as possible. The second service is a day hospice service. It provides a haven for people to come together in spite of an advanced illness. There was this saying from the mother of the modern hospice movement, Dame Cicely Saunders. It says, "You matter, because you are, and you matter to the end of your life. It kind of acknowledges the worth of a person, no matter whether you are diseased or ill, because you are who you are.
Okay, so the picture there was what we did last year. We're going to do it again this year. This is for donation. If you're interested, you can key in the QR code. This QR code is for donation. The earlier one is an invitation to all of you in DFC2 to come and join us for the walk. One beautiful Sunday of giving. And I think that's the last class. This will be the last session for this term. Okay? And yeah, I hope to see more of you join us. Let me see some of the questions. We don't have an option. I don't know if non-Singaporean can make a donation. I think use credit card you can.
Okay. I think should be okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Need to scan and pay.
Yes. Use credit card. If you're a credit card, it should be okay. Family members can come and join. Everyone, just bring them along. Sign up for one and bring the whole village. It's okay. Okay. But hope to raise money for these poor guys. That's actually what we want to do also, to raise funds for them to continue able to serve. Okay, thank you very much. I think that's it. Tomorrow, remember please, tomorrow there's a class. We're doing Shankara and consciousness. Okay, guys? Thank you very much. Shall we chant?
Yeah, sharing of merits. Nothing. Brother Yikun. Okay. Oh, what happened? I think here is okay, but not in the.
No, on screen is okay.
Yours is okay?
Yeah, mine is okay.
Oh, okay.
Shall we
Just
start?
mine is not okay. Okay, let's start. Let us invite all sentient beings to participate in our quiet merits. Etta vata cha amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Etta vata cha amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Etta vata cha amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Let us invite our departed relatives and friends to share in our quiet merits. Idang me nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Let us pay respects to the Triple Gem. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami. Supatipano Bhagavato Sawaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
I see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.